Hello? Hello. Everything is good. I have unmuted myself, and there we go. Okay. Load. We were right there. Okay, yeah. Yeah, right. We have a choice. Right. I think for now I'm gonna stay. I don't think leave. Actually, with leaving, I don't know. I'll stay for now. I guess. I I feel like leaving would only make things worse. There was a tightness in my chest as I looked at Thanatos, the single word leaving my mouth. Alright. I can't leave my friends behind. Hardly surprising. Am I going to die? Probably. Thanatos? What do you want? I'm scared. What do you expect me to do about it? Knock you out again? No, I don't think that'd help. Then what? Can you tell me if all of this is worth it? What do you mean? You've seen this happen. Had all of these talks. You know what's going to happen before I even haven't thought about it. Is watching all of this suffering happen worth it? This isn't a question for a machine. I guess not. Sorry. I turned to leave, but I hesitated before getting too far. What? If you had feelings and understood what we are going through, I just wonder if you'd be more willing to help, that's all. You have no idea. I left it at that and headed back to my room. Even after having just woken up, I was still exhausted. Something I was happy for, if only because it meant I didn't have to worry about thinking. I decided to stay. A decision that seemed to sit the best with me, given I've already lost some friends already and didn't like the idea of abandoning the rest. But as much as I decided to stay, a big part of me wanted to leave, to put all of this behind me and escape. What would that do? What would Tyson and Orlando want me to do? I didn't have to wonder it for it too long. As soon as found myself drifting off, if a little worried about what else was to come next. Okay, it seems that we're still in Path G. It taken me some time to get settled, longer than I wanted it to, but when I was finally down, it took me a while to realize it. Not that I felt I was like I was falling, or even floating, that I was just there. I slowly opened my eyes and I was laying on the sofa at home. My body felt like lead, but I sat up anyway. Hello? Silence. Nothing came in reply to my question, even as I craned my neck to look into the dining room. Instead of the kitchen and the dining room table, the doorways just seemed to lead to more darkness. Pulling myself to my feet was a struggle, and the moment I stood, I was falling. I could feel the wind push past me. I could feel the cold. I could feel my stomach sinking faster than what I perceived myself to be falling. Oh my god. Almost painfully, I found myself on my stomach, the strength in my limbs sapped. Oh, Dave, you made it. Huh? You don't remember how you got here, did you? Did I get... My head was hurting. My heart racing. If it wasn't for the fact everything around me started to blur, I would have thought I'd somehow found myself in a living nightmare. So tell me about Dom. What happened to him, I wonder? The word caught in my mouth, but this dream Jack seemed to know where I was going with it. Dead? Well, that's a shame, cause, you know, when my buddy doesn't come back, there's going to be questions. He approached slowly, that smile starting to make its way on his face. And with questions comes answers. So, how many questions do you think you can answer for me, Dave? I shut my eyes tight and tried to will the nightmare away. Surprisingly, it seemed to work. Not for long though, as I could feel the ground beneath me start to shift. Dave? Thanatos? Wake up. Where are you? I blinked and he was there, seemingly materializing out of thin air. I said wake up. But why? Wake up. But I said... The moment I opened my eyes, I sat bolted upright. My heart was pounding in my chest. And from what little light was coming in from the window, I could tell it was early. As I breathed, I could feel it rattle up in my throat and out my mouth. Then, on the way back down, it felt like I couldn't get enough air. For the next few minutes, I tried to catch my breath and ended up just feeling sick. Though I was awake and able to breathe, even with the self-induced nausea. I went for my phone, rubbing my eyes. My flinch reaction was to message Tyson for him to get coffee, but my fingers froze just above the screen. My whole body trembled as I realized I couldn't. Same applied for Orlando, and the sound that came out of my mouth after was somewhere between a squeak and a whine. It took me a while to get going, crawling over to the bathroom and having a shower. The steam helped warm me up and regulate my breathing, but deep down I felt cold. I was shaken, worried that that what I dreamed was just a premonition of what's going to happen. No one else seems to be up. Given how early it was no wonder. Part of me considered checking in with the others, but I found myself drawn to the front door. Oh god, not again. That's definitely not gonna end well. Definitely not. I sat down on the stairs and stared at it, waiting, watching, and wondering if anyone was going to come knocking like Dom did. Bleh. The smear of blood across the floor was still there, leading off down a hallway and out of sight. Dave? Sal's voice was quiet, almost whispered, but it made me jump all the same. I looked over my shoulder and watched as he came down down the stairs to sit beside me. Couldn't sleep? Not really. I get the impression the only one sleeping soundly is Dean. Because... sleeping medication. I caught him taking more than what I expected him to as far as tablets. He's taking a stronger dose? I checked him on him this morning, and he's breathing. So at the very least, what stupid decision he made hasn't had any consequences yet. At least he's getting sleep. I'm torn between wanting to sleep versus just staying awake to avoid nightmares. Are they worse because of yesterday? Yeah, I keep thinking about what's going to happen with Dom dead. Keep wondering if someone's going to come looking for him, so... I gesture to the door before burying my face in my hands. So you're waiting for that person? I don't know if I want someone to arrive or not. On one hand, if I'm expecting it, it's better than being caught off guard. But if someone doesn't, you're left wondering if anyone's going to arrive at all. That's messed up. Haas quietly sat down next to me, the three of us looking at the front door. You two can't sleep either? We nodded, and Haas continued. Guess Dean's the only one then. Well. You've seen Roswell and Benson this morning? Just Roswell. Checked in and he was staring at the ceiling. He was awake, but with everything going on, he's not looking too great. For a few months, I almost thought, well... And Benson? No clue. Thanatos? Same. Haven't seen either of them yet. Guess you haven't if you're both asking. That's right. Dave was here when I finished checking on Dean and just sat down. Ah. What are we meant to do? Make breakfast? Sit and wait? No, thank you. I don't feel like eating right now. Same. Water, maybe, but later. Yeah, I feel like if I were to eat anything now, it just, I made a show of hugging my middle, dropping my eyes to the floor. I hate this feeling. I feel so trapped. Haas placed his hand on my shoulder and I flinched. Is there really nothing we can do except for wait? Beyond harming ourselves, potentially. I wouldn't think so. Which, given our options, doesn't leave us with much. Right. Unless we could convince Benson to hand over some guns or something, but... Haas tenses up next to me, shuddering. Yeah, if we see him around, we can ask, sure. I looked to Sal, who seemed to pick up on how the conversation had turned, dipping his head down. Maybe we should have some tea, or coffee, or just... He sighed, shaking his head. I'll go get that started. I'll be back in a bit. Haas and I watched him disappear into the dining room and then presumably into the kitchen, leaving us on the stairs. Haas buried his face in his hand, breathing out and looking about as well as I felt. Hello. We both turned to look at Roswell, who joined us on the stairs. What? Did we... Are you... You haven't missed anything, and we're just waiting. For? Tea, I guess. But you're on the stairs. It's just where we ended up. Sal went to the kitchen, so... What about Dean? Sleeping still, apparently. And, the hurried scrambling of feet on tile alerted us to Thanatos' arrival before he spoke, and he looked to each of us in turn. What are you waiting for? Tea. Sal's making it. Thanatos turned to me, giving me that beady stare of his. And what are you waiting for, Dave? I didn't answer, choosing to actively ignore him. Oi, I'm talking to you. Hey, Huss. I'm going to give Sal a hand in the kitchen. I stood up slowly and made to leave, getting a few steps before Thanatos spoke again. That's a shame. It was enough to get me to stop, but not enough to turn around and look at him. Figured you wouldn't leave me alone with Haas again after yesterday. Roswell is here too. Yeah, a lot of good that did, What do you want, Thanatos? For you to answer the question. What are you waiting for? I don't know what I'm waiting for. Are we meant to be waiting for something? Nothing good. It's all just a matter of time. What? How much time? That depends on Junior here. It's up to me. Dave? How does it depend on me? You hear that? I think I can hear the hopping of a rabbit drawing near. My blood ran cold, and I mouthed Jack's name as I felt my chest tighten. I gave you the choice last night. You chose to stay. And now you have to live with that decision. So that's it? We're just doomed? No, I don't believe it. So what's it gonna be, Dave? Stay or leave? What? Why do I get the choice again? What? I looked from Thanatos to the other two, mortified. Was he really offering the... Okay, I think that "the" is just not a typo. Offering me the chance to leave again, even after I'd chosen to stay? Dave? If Thanatos can hear Jack's coming, we can buy can we buy ourselves time? Is there anything we can do? But Dean's asleep still. If we left, that means 1 hour. Jack will arrive in 1 hour. That's not a lot of time. Your only saving grace is that he's been up all night, so chances are he's going to be sluggish. If we stay, can we hide? It's an option. We can hide in the secret passages. They won't know to look for the library. Assuming Dom didn't tell anyone that it existed. Then we lock ourselves in a room and stay quiet. Which is a problem if they are coming, if they come looking for who killed Dom. More so once they find his body. Roswell pointed to the blood smear on the ground, and I nodded slowly. And finding it would be easy the moment you walked in the door. There has to be somewhere. I looked to Thanatos, wondering what options are available to us. The pool? The greenhouse? The hedge maze? Would that work? If we're inside the house, we'll get found. We'd also be trapping ourselves in case anything were to happen. But couldn't they just find us outside? What are the odds of Jack looking around the house to find Dom, and upon finding his body, try to look for us in the hedge maze? I suppose it's a good a plan as any. But we still have Dean to worry about. If he's not awake in the next hour, then... If it's a choice between leaving him behind or dragging his ass out of bed, I'll gladly get Sal on board. I don't think you'll need to do much convincing. The bigger problem is going to be Benson, really. Why Benson? You haven't noticed? He's been slowly withdrawing into himself more and more. And after killing Dom, it's only getting worse. I felt my face scrunching up on its own. Serves him right after killing Tyson and letting Orlando be killed. Oh my god. Okay. Mustn't have been easy losing Oswin as well. Because? Well, they were in the same house, right? It'd be like losing a family member. Not to mention how he died too. Right under his nose. With little options on how to deal with any sort of suspect. That's not what he told me. Huh? What do you mean? He said that he neutralized Oswin's killer, but they are still alive. Seriously? We have to worry about that too? Not necessarily. Please don't. Right, yeah. Immediately after, Roswell started into a coughing fit, clutching his chest. Hey, are you okay? I'm fine. You don't sound fine. Is it just a cold or? Huss and I looked at each other, grim. It's hard to say. It might be that, but it might be something else. If Roswell's going to only get worse, maybe hiding outside isn't such a great idea. If he has another coughing fit while we're outside and someone hears... I agree. So, if I need to, I'll stay inside. Jack will kill you if he finds you. You don't know that. I gave him a look, briefly frowning towards Haas for him to say something, given I was at a loss and I was resorting to just my facial expressions. If he sees Dom's body and goes nuts, you think he's going to just ignore you if you get discovered? I can hide somewhere. The library, maybe. Assuming Jack does that thorough of a search, but if Dom told Jack about it... Huss huffed out. We're wasting time. We need to get the others in on what's happening. Thanatos, you've been pretty quiet this whole time. What about it? Do you have anything to add? Anything to say, or do, or help? Yeah. Let me think. You're not going to like it, but today doesn't go so well as most times. Meaning? You know what I mean. Just a matter of choosing who. When and where. To confirm, you're asking where you need to be and when to be the one sacrificed? If it has to be someone, it should be me. There's no sense in denying that given my health, I'm the biggest liability to the group. Roswell, that's messed up. It's not messed up. It's just the truth. The cold, hard truth that if we're looking to maximize the amount of lives saved from this point out, me dying in place of someone else makes sense given I don't have much time left as it is. He shook his head, looking to me briefly. Dave, you understand, right? You'd do the same thing in my shoes, after all. I was a little taken aback by the question, but awkwardly stood there scratching my arm instead of answering the question. So, what do I need to do? Alright, fine. Better talk about this now rather than waiting until the bear is up. Or even when the crocodile returns. Oh, okay, yeah. Really? We're just gonna let this happen? You want to know what happens if you stay behind, Haas? Huh? Sure, it's happened a couple times. I've had a front row seat to every time this has gone down. Yours is the messiest by far. Haas stared dumbfounded and started to shake. Thanatos continued on as if he hadn't noticed. Chases you down real easy too. Lets you run for a while, but eventually drags you right back to the foyer and guts you. Thanatos shook his head, shrugging. Haas in the meantime had buried his face in his hands and had started to cover his ears to block Thanatos out. Real messy. Doesn't care that he ends up with half of you on him and walks out covered in blood. Thanatos, you should stop. That's an understatement. You think it gets any cleaner for Dean? Maybe Sal? Can tell you that Jack is a nasty piece of work when he's on a rampage. Roswell went to say something, but covered his mouth, looking to me, startled. I'll answer your question. Dean ends up a rug, and I think Sal would have made a nice pair of shoes if Jack was a bit cleaner with his knife work. That leaves them both for dead, though. You and Dave, though. No, that's alright. I don't want to know. My god, that's messed up. You sure? Yes, I'm sure. I hurried over to Haas and hugged him, finding myself trembling as he reached out to clutch me tight. I felt sick, and I was sure the others felt the same. Either way, I'm going to be heading off. Got things I need to do before Jack arrives. Like what? You don't need to worry about that. Thanatos. What now? Are you actually going to do something to help? What do you take me for? He shrugged and disappeared soon after, just as Sal wandered back in from the dining room. What happened? You're going to need to help us wake Dean up. Did something happen? Wait, of course something did. Haas is crying. What did I miss? Jack, he's going to be showing up in under an hour. But that's so soon. Made worse by the fact if Dean's really unconscious, we're going to need to move him. Right. I'll go wake him, or drag him out of bed forcibly. But what's the plan? Hiding in the hedge maze, apparently. It was then that Roswell had his second coughing fit, desperately trying to catch his breath. But hiding is going to be hard, we know. If I need to be left behind, I understand. Okay, well, in the meantime, I have tea, but, He gestured toward the dining room briefly before looking up the stairs. I'm going to go retrieve Dean. If we're going to be outside, better drink that tea fast, I suppose. Sal hurried along the stairs past where I'd end up with Haas, disappearing around the corner. Dave, Haas, do you still want tea? Haas quickly nodded, trying to calm himself while I just let my gaze drop to the floor. I'll be back. I'm okay. Are you sure? Look, I don't like the idea that we're in this much danger, alright? That rat has to be lying. For the time being, that's all I've got. Just trying to trick myself into thinking he was lying. Was he though? You're not helping. He's a robot. I can't be sure. Well, all we can hope for is that we hide in the hedge maze and Jack just comes and goes, right? Sal's getting Dean and Roswell's coughing? What about Benson? I don't know. What choice do we have? We headed outside after Roswell had brought us tea. I didn't drink much of mine, and even after wanting it, Haas barely drank any. The fresh air would have been nice if it wasn't for why we were out here to begin with. Sal had propped Dean by the door, having lugged him out of bed while still unconscious. It looked as though, at the very least, he'd not left Dean in his underwear and managed to put some pants on him. Okay, so we're just going to hide, right? There were murmurs from the others, but we all seemed resolved to head into the maze. Not that we had anything as far as weapons to use in case of the worst happens, but the goal was to be hiding anyway. With Dean unconscious, Sal had one of his arms around Dean's shoulders to keep him upright. Or maybe it was because of his bulk, it just made him easier to carry that way. Roswell was looking rough and followed behind, but continued to on past us in the days when I paused to ask just how far we were headed. It seemed he'd already decided for us. Sal dropped Dean off on the bench in the center of the maze, sitting down on the ground and looking frazzled. Huss and Roswell chose spots of their own, one in the corner and the other by the fountain, just quietly rocking back and forth. That left me looking at each of them in turn, wondering what I should be doing. But all there was left to do was wait. Sal shifted to be next to Dean, eyes closed and seemingly listening out. The other two didn't move shy of any slight noise, making the rest of us jump. Every now and again, something would make one of us jump, but the moment we heard aggressive knocking coming from somewhere nearby, we all almost jumped out of our fur. Bleh. Roswell went to speak, but Sal shot him a glare that kept him quiet, enough to tell him that it was a bad idea to make a sound. The knocking echoed over the walls of the maze, but this time was accompanied with a crash short while later. Oh my god, they are busting through. Really? No yelling, no gunshots, nothing but silence afterwards. None of us dared to move, wondering where Jack might be, or what was happening with Benson. A few minutes later, another crash, something shattering within the house. Then more waiting, minute after minute, with no more sound. This is scary. How long was it going to take before we could go inside? I had my eyes trained on the entrance to the fountain area we were holed up in case Thanatos came to visit. I knew at the very least he'd be able to work this far out. I clamped my hands over my mouth soon after, though. Huss jumping to his feet with his fur on end, just as Dean started to wake up. It was a gunshot, followed by another, and then the sound of something else breaking. Another gunshot, then the sound of what I guessed was a window shattering nearly all at once. The silence that followed was different somehow, heavier, more intense, and I was more scared to make a sound after it than any other point in our wait. What's happening? Sal in a flash had his hands across Dean's mouth, urging him to stay quiet just from how his eyes were bulging in panic. Thankfully, he seemed to get the message. Huss started to pace, and settled on coming closer to the bench to whisper something into Dean's ear while Sal still had him muffled. My attention went to Roswell, though, who seemed to be half asleep, or zoned out, and breathing seemingly labored. It wasn't a coughing fit, but he didn't look okay. What are you waiting for? We all jumped when Thanatos spoke, making no effort to be quiet. Is it safe? How did you get out here? Shouldn't we be... My hands went to my mouth again when I realized that I'd spoken, whining out pitifully. Oh yeah, all the fun is over. It was enough to make a couple of us relax, but it was far from being back to normal. I missed everything? What happened? You always miss it when we get to this point. At least ever since we decided to let you medicate yourself. Keeps things cleaner that way. But what happened? You'll see when you go back inside. Speaking of, can I get carried back? Walking all the way there is going to take forever otherwise. Oh, sure, yeah, okay. Thanks, buddy. Huss seems to have moved on to check on Roswell, and I figured I'd do the same. That wasn't a lot of noise. So little noise. What are you talking about? We heard gunshots. We heard stuff breaking. It's not enough. It doesn't tell us anything about what could or could not have happened. The only way for to know for certain is to go back to the house. He eased himself up from where he was stilling, but it was clear that he was struggling to keep up his balance. But without missing a beat, Haas supported him much in the way Sal had done with Dean on our way in. So, let's go. Let's find out what happened. The walk back was tense, even with Thanatos riding along on Dean's shoulder. I was thankful that he wasn't riding along with me given how heavy I felt already. Thanatos had come to retrieve us, and I just had hoped that he didn't just let us right into a trap. The moment we entered the house, each of us froze. The smell was intense. Even without us knowing where it was coming from, each of us seemed to know what it was. I think Benson is dead then. Guys? I can smell it too. But that smell... blood, which can only mean... Benson? Not Jack. Benson, where are you? Dean rushed off, calling out for Benson. He moved sluggishly at first, but having only just recently woken up, it was no surprise. Is Benson dead? We don't know that. The only thing we can maybe be sure of is that Jack is gone, right? Oh yeah, he's gone. Headed back into the woods. Well, that's something. What now, though? Hurried footfalls came echoing back through the house before Dean came to a stop back into the foyer. His look said everything, staring at Saul before slowly showing him the smears of blood on his hands. They ran off, and I turned to Thanatos. Benson? He is dead, yes. So wait, does that mean it's like a new path, but... No, it's still G. Okay. You left him to die? Oh jeez, I'm sorry for choosing the route that ends up with the least amount of you dead. He could have joined us in the hedge maze. That wasn't going to happen. Not with it ending up in a bloodbath. He'd come find us? You find him. He waits for you in the mansion until you come back and... Well, Dave here is who he sizes up after Benson's dealt with. Oh. Yeah. Oh. So, if what Thanatos says is true, Benson's dead. And then on top of that, Jack and Memphis are still out there. This sucks. They could be back at any moment. You don't need to worry about that. They're not coming back. What? They're not? Why? Well, not right away anyway. They still want the vote after all. How much time do we have? You have time. What were you wanting to do this time around? If you tell me I have enough time for some sleep and for us to make some sort of escape, I'll take it. That's all you want? You mean via the main road, or? It's the only way out we've got. Think everyone is going to make it out? We have to try, right? You're right. Given everything that happened, we can't afford to wonder if there's a better way out and just take the one we know. You can't mean now though, right? Like I said, you have time. I don't think Sal or Dean are in a position to go climbing a mountain now of all times anyway. Right. I could hear Roswell take in another deep breath, rags, and it looked like it hurt. Maybe maybe we leave tomorrow? Use today to just rest up? Can we afford to wait that long? You're looking at needing to wait for Dean and Sal anyway. Thanatos, when is the soonest we can leave? He looked at me over carefully, looking briefly to Haas and Roswell before turning back to me. Early tomorrow. Just make sure Dean doesn't have medication and you'll be able to leave. That seems easy enough, especially if we can get Sal on board. What about me? Do I need medicine or anything to be able to leave the mountain as well? No, you'll be fine. I think. You think? You need sleep more than anything else. Get some of that and you'll be fine.
Self-voicing disabled.
Shit. I accidentally pressed that. My bad. Oh, okay, sure. For now, I have somewhere I need to be. Where? If you must know, I need to go run a check on things in the lab. I'd offer you to come, but there's currently a corpse in it. So we just wait? Yes, wait. I'll be around later in case you had any questions for me. He scurried off soon after towards the basement, leaving the three of us to linger by the back door as we had been. Tomorrow, huh? Sleep though. He says it like it's going to be so easy. 4 dead people in the house. Well, I guess 5 now. Just feels so wrong that there's just as many dead here as there are alive. I don't think it's healthy to think of things like that, but I agree. But if tomorrow is the day, then that's great news, right? Yeah. You don't sound convinced. Just going on home is all well and good, but what about Tyson? What about Orlando? Well, we can't, We'll come back for them, don't worry. We'll contact the police, pick them up, and just give them a proper burial and just put it all this behind us. Okay. I've confirmed it. Sorry, I took so long. So he's really... Yep, there wasn't even a point in trying to attempt resuscitation. What time we took was just to get over the shock of what we saw. It was that bad? It was that bad. Dean's still pulling himself for that together. Sal, are you able to ensure that Dean doesn't take any medication again? I suppose that's doable, but may I ask why? Thanatos says we can leave early tomorrow if he doesn't. That's great news. Then, yes, I'll ensure he doesn't. Okay, that's good. Did he say anything else we should be doing now? Not really, just prepare to leave for tomorrow. I suppose I'll relay that to Dean as well, given he's still a bit lost as to what happened. I peeled away from the group and made my way upstairs. If we were leaving, I wanted to make sure I had anything important that would be best to take. This included taking Tyson's phone from his room, along with some other bits and pieces. Admittedly for selfish reasons, but beyond the necessities, I just wanted something to remember him by. But when I got to Orlando's room, something was amiss. I hadn't been here since everything had happened, but it seems like someone else had been. Yeah. I wandered over to the bed and cautiously reached out for a folded piece of paper left on it. As I opened it, I was greeted by to messy handwriting, as if it were done in a hurry. Interesting. I know what you did. Eh? Was this something Jack left behind? What could it mean? Let me take that as a note. I'm just taking a note. I know what you did. I don't know if the message is necessarily to Orlando or someone else. The save menu is lying too? No, it's like Tice. No, the save menu is not lying. There is four dead: Benson, Oswin, Tyson, and Orlando. So no, it's not lying. Is he really alive? Because, okay, this is before the choice. Only Oswin dead. This is when... Oh. Don't joke like that. I almost thought that you had caught on something important. Whatever. Either way, I continued by picking up Orlando's phone, a few trinkets, and one of his favorite shirts. A few things had been shifted, but as far as I could tell, nothing seemed to be immediately missing. Maybe someone was just in here looking around. Maybe something else. But it wasn't as if Orlando were around for me to ask. I don't know. Plus, I don't think you have played... I would be surprised if you played this VN on your own. Because I feel like you've waited for me. Anyways, I slumped against his bed, sitting on the floor. They were gone. It was one thing to grieve about Orlando and Tyson right after they'd been killed, but it was hitting me again and hard. For the next couple of hours, I sat there sobbing off and on. Part of me wanted to stay and be around the things that reminded me of Orlando and Tyson. Another part wanted to be anywhere but his room. But the constant reminder of them existing was something I feared I'd lose if I got up. I went back to my room eventually and dropped off what items I'd chosen, laying them out on my bed. It felt wrong to sum up Tyson and Orlando with just a few items, but given how we were going to escape, I had to think light. We'd come back for their bodies, like Haas said, and then it'd be fine. It'd all be fine. I'd stashed the items in my bag for now and figured I'd load up my pockets before we made the trek down the mountain. That way I could keep them out of sight and maybe get some sleep without the constant reminder. Guys? Dean was sitting off to the side, seemingly freshly showered, his fur slightly damp from where I was sitting. Dean? Oh, hey. Are you alright? I had someone explain what happened. I didn't get it. Let it sit for a bit before getting it explained again, and I'm just so confused. You're confused? Not scared or angry or... Scared, maybe. Angry? I don't think I've hit that point. I'm mostly just shocked. Dean looked to his hands, then to me, speaking softly. I've had maybe 3 showers, but I can still see the blood on my hands even though it's not there. Benson's blood? Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, but just seeing that much blood, I wasn't sure if he was able to be saved or not. So you tried giving him CPR? I tried shaking him awake gently, but it wasn't until I brought Saul back with me that it really sank in just how, he looked like he was going to be sick when the trailed off, but breathed in deep and seemed to push it down. what Jack did to him. It was messy. If it wasn't for the clothes, you'd have been hard-pressed to know that it was Benson. And you sure it was? I'm sure. Saul was sure too. Died with a gun in his hand. It looks like Jack decided to go a little nuts after killing him. No way you'd need to cut him open like that Jesus. Found myself sitting down beside Dean, rocking gently back and forth. Just hearing that made me as queasy as Dean looked. But tomorrow we can get away. I just need to get through tonight without medication. We can leave first thing. Are you gonna be alright with that? It'll be hard to get to sleep, but if it means one night of bad sleep for us to go home, I'll put up with it. Thanks, Dean. Did you want to talk about anything? Such as? Orlando? Tyson, maybe? I whined and he put an arm around me, squeezing me gently. Sorry, I didn't. No, it's okay. I just can't believe they're gone. It hurts that they're gone, and that we're leaving them behind tomorrow. We can come back for them still, right? But I want to take them with me. It feels wrong just to leave them here with them still in the woods. I know. Do you? I can't say I was all that close with Orlando, even after, well, getting chewed out by him, but Tyson seemed like someone I could get along with eventually. I wish I knew him better. He looked at me briefly before turning away again. If it's not too painful, do you mind telling me about them? What do you want to know? Orlando was kind. He was either almost always happy or unsettled by something Roswell had come up with, or fed up with something Huss had done, at least in the last year. The smile on my face wavered as I continued, preemptively wiping the tears away. Even with a family like his, even if I didn't really think about it, he was still a good person. They both were. I'm sorry, Dave. I could have said things were fine. I could have said any number of things to try and make Dean feel better, but I just ended up sitting there nodding slowly. Yeah. Is there anything I can say or do? Is there anything you want to tell me, or what's there to say? I don't know. It was only for a day, maybe less than a day, but Orlando and I... You loved him. And he loved me, and now he's... I started to cry, not bothering to hide it anymore. Dean pulled me tighter against him, and if anything, it just made me cry all the harder. Hey, it's alright. It'll be okay. Just hurts so much. Did you want some coffee? Or hugs? I don't really know how I can help. I don't know. Are you two okay? Sure doesn't look okay, Sal. I meant, it's a hard question to answer. I'm still processing everything. Everything's hitting Dave. So what about you two? I've had enough. I want to go home. Seconded. I can't smell anything other than blood, and there's nothing we can do about it. Even just standing outside makes me coming back inside worse. Even if you just stayed in your room? Being alone doesn't seem like a great option at the moment either. Tomorrow. We just have to get through tomorrow. Hold on. Where's Roswell? Asleep. He almost collapsed earlier when I walked him to his room. Barely closed the door before passing out. It sounded light. Did you hear him hit the floor or what? I wouldn't be surprised if he did pass out on the floor, but I have enough on my mind as it is. Way to look out for the guy, Sal. I didn't see you doing anything to help, Hoss. I'm not a doctor. I can't help with what's happening to him. Sal nodded slowly and backed up to sit on the stairs. What do we do now? Anyone hungry? Not really. Sorry? Jeez. I shook my head and Sal followed suit. Thirsty? Again, everyone shook their heads. Maybe we should all just sleep. Rest up for tomorrow. It's not even lunchtime. Shy of just waiting. We could go see what that rat is up to. What's he doing given what just happened? If you can even find him. Then we search the house, maybe. Awful lot of house to search to. More than that, if he doesn't want to be found, he can avoid us. He's small enough, but if he's already seen us look for him, he'll just choose not to be there. You can't be serious. I am. Thanatos can just choose to hide and we'll never find him. Well, there goes that idea. Did you want to play a game? Take our minds off things? No, I think I'm good. I'm with Dave. I don't even feel like watching anime. That's funny. If we're heading home tomorrow, do we need supplies? What's the plan? I imagine once we get to the main road, we can hitchhike into a town and call for help. So traveling light is probably smart. My plan is, once we're out of range of this signal jammer, is to call the police. Oh, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Hopefully it doesn't stretch too far. But once we're on the main road again, past where the road was blown up, we'll be outside its range. Yeah, I do want to take something with me as a keepsake though. Something to remember Orlando and Tyson by until we can come back for them. I'll be happy to carry anything if that works. Thinking maybe a small backpack or something to help carry it. At the moment it's just a shirt and their phone. Plus some other bits, but I don't need all that much. Sure, I'll help too. Or at least if there's anything I can do to help, say the word. Sure, at the moment I've just put what I have in my bag, but we can decide before we head out. Then all we have left is to make sure Dean doesn't take medication. Get some rest for what will be a long walk for tomorrow, and make sure Roswell can come with us. Sounds about right, yeah. Only thing we have to do to wait on is Roswell then. If what Thanatos said was right, Roswell should be fine, apparently. He doesn't seem sure. More like not telling us the whole story, but I don't get why he'd lie now of all times. Not when he had a number of other things he could be lying about. So Roswell will be fine? Guess we'll find out in the morning. If it's just a waiting game, I think I'm just going to make sure we have what supplies we need ready. Rations for the road, maybe some climbing equipment if I can find it. Right, that rations is going to be a bit far, but I'll help if you need it. I'm probably going to just check the greenhouse. I wouldn't know where else to look for tools. Welcome to come if you want. Wish I could help, but I don't remember seeing anything like climbing gear around here. If it exists, it wouldn't be anywhere we've been before. I think I'll leave the preparing to you and Sal. After earlier, I think I just want to lie down. So we split off, Dean and Saul heading back outside, Haas towards the kitchen, and I wandered upstairs to rest. Tomorrow. All I need to do was to wait until tomorrow and I could get home. It all seemed too good to be true. The day passed with nothing happening. No visits from Jack, Roswell. Roswell seemed to be sleeping things off when I checked Tim on him. and I found the other three just sitting downstairs waiting like I had been. Though after sitting in silence for a bit, once more, we headed back upstairs. It was some time later in the evening when I woke up, not suddenly, but with a dull throb in my chest. Orlando was gone, and I opted to stay in my own rather than intrude on his room a second time. Everything in there smelled like him, and the wound was too fresh for me to want to be surrounded by constant reminders that now he was now gone. Hey. Huh? He said nothing else, instead turning on heel and walking out of the room. One last look over his shoulder implied that he wasn't going to wait for me to follow, and I was curious on where he wanted to take me. I followed. For whatever reason, he led the way down, not asking for a lift and not acknowledging as to why he'd sought me out, not until we were downstairs. Where are we going? Does it matter? It's the middle of the night, so yes. Thought we were meant to be resting up for tomorrow. This is more important. Okay, but what is more important? Just keep following. We need to set something up. You're still not telling me what this thing is, though. He just continued on, despite me asking again, and he called back over his shoulder as he continued to walk. We're almost there. Just be patient. Eventually, I just picked him up and sat him on my shoulder. If he wanted me to be patient, that was one thing, but leading the way was taking forever. He guided me down the driveway, and I watched as he twitched slightly further the further we got. If the hedge maze was the edge of his working range, I wondered just how further we were going. Here. Shakingly, he pointed to a rock and I put him down, dropping him down into a sitting position immediately. We're a bit further from the house I thought we'd come. We needed to. Are you going to tell me for what now? Yes. He struggled to stand, but managed. The illusion of him being a rat faded from how his neck seemed to twitch, robotic eyes glowing the way they did in the dark. Are you ready for a story? I thought we needed to set something up. If you just wanted to tell me a story, we could have done so inside. No, not this one. Get comfortable. Sitting down on the road, I was thankful that I kept pants on, though the night air was starting to nip at me with the lack of shirt. Okay, the story I want to tell you is... It's... If you're struggling, we can go back inside, it's fine. It's not fine. Forget the story. I'm just going to tell it like it is. Tell what it like it is? The experiment. It's over. It is? Wait, which experiment are we talking about? The one my master set out to complete. The look I gave him should have been enough to clue him in that I wanted more information, but his attention seemed drawn back to the house. Well, now that it's done, now what? Dave, do you know what the completion of the experiment means? It means that I've won. That I did not have a purpose to fulfill from this point on. Is that bad? My master would say no. He would say that it was all worth to ensure that you lived, that you alone survived above anyone. What? So what? Everyone else was meant to die? Me? Your master wanted to save me? Yes, it was always you, Dave. The pin keeping this group together and alive. I don't understand. What would have happened if you died? I nodded quickly and watched as he struggled to move, turning to look at me. I'd ask if you really want to know, but you just nod and look at me funny. Of course you want to know. He smirked, shaking his head. You keep this group together more than you know. Before any of all this, before your dad got involved with Oswin's little workaround, you were meant to die. What? His attention went back to the house as he continued. That set into motion a series of events that wound up with everyone you know and loved dead too. Your father in the line of duty, your mother after she develops a broken heart following a messy divorce, just before that. My eyes went wide as he rattled this off as if it meant nothing. Him shrugging as best he could with his body seemingly fighting him. Your friends in an accident after accident. Wrong place at the wrong time. Or through other means. He shrugged as if what he was saying held no weight. Roswell succumbs to his illness. Orlando killed by his own father. Tyson in a car accident. Haas in a shooting. Dean in a workplace accident. And Sal, well, he suffers the most, probably. What happens to Saul? Okay. I don't know if I said that throughout my playthrough, but I do have one theory about Saul. A kind of gruesome one, but it makes sense. So early in this route, at the very least, we see Sal killing Dean and Haas, if I'm not mistaken. Because he is sleepwalking, and he will adhere to commands when he sleepwalks, making him kind of dangerous. My theory was that for most of the first deaths, Sal is commanded by someone to basically kill them. The only exception I would think of would be Tyson's death, because he dies in the woods, and maybe Ross. Wait. Yeah, no, maybe Haas. Yeah, Tyson and Haas are kind of a weird situation, but everyone else, I'm pretty sure someone commanded Sal to kill them in some sort of way. Orlando is the most obvious one. Sal is also the most obvious one. But yeah, he was used, I'm pretty sure. Well, he outlives all of you lot in genetics alone. Call it a consequence of the medical trial, or just his species. I'm not a biologist. Yeah. Not that he makes it to old age anyway. He gets caught up with one of Memphis' goons and... Shakily, a finger was drawn across his neck to finish his thought. But we don't have to worry about that anymore. Because we're escaping in the morning? Listen to me, Dave. Do you understand the lengths I went through to secure your survival? No? Well, hopefully you do someday. You're starting to freak me out. More than usual, I mean. Don't fret, Dave. You're safe. Yeah, like you're trying to be convincing of that right now. I'm serious. Great. But I'm getting cold, so can we go back inside now? Ah, about that. One last thing. What's that? I stood and offered my hand out to him so he could climb up my arm. His head just shook his head and lightly pushed my hand away. Try to not to remember how much this is going to hurt. What? Is he going to make us pass out again? God damn it. Why? In the middle of the road? That was a trap. Things for a split second went painfully quiet. I didn't understand what he was talking about, but for the first time since meeting Thanatos, Thanatos wore a tired and sad smile. Jesus, what? I was thrown forward from the force of the blast that came out of nowhere. I fumbled into the rock Thanatos was standing on and watched as he limply fell forwards, motionless. From where I was prone, I looked back up at the house and couldn't believe what I was seeing. A second blast, followed quickly by another in all the spans of a couple seconds. Oh, so that was all fake. Only Dave is gonna escape because he's the only one out of the house. Fuck! He lied. Followed quickly by another, happening in the span of a couple seconds, and I watched as the house disappeared before my eyes in a blaze of smoke and rubble. Thanatos? I reached out for him. I glued to the side of the house where every last one of my remaining friends had been sleeping. Thanatos, did you know that? He was limp in my hands, and I knew that he wasn't going to answer. I wasn't cold anymore. I wasn't tired anymore. Mostly, I was just in shock. Morning had been broken by the time I made it to the road. Who knows how long I'd spent there sitting in the middle of the driveway. Okay, I'm curious now. Wow, okay. Everyone's dead. Yippee. God damn. Cold had set back in, tiredness had set back in, and I stared down into the hole left in the road. Looking back up at the smoke still rising from what was left of the house, I could hear the faint sirens approaching from somewhere far off. Someone was coming. Someone was finally coming. I was taken away from that mountain in the back of an ambulance, along with a police escort. After they were sure I was physically fine, the police wanted answers. And I gave them to them willingly. I told them about how the road blew up. I told them about what happened with Dominic and Benson. I told them about who was in the woods, and it was only then that tone shifted. I knew before they said anything that they weren't keen on helping. I knew that even though the experiment has been a success and that I'd survived, I'd lost. No bodies to recover. The house was just a smoldering crater. No one to blame, as there was no evidence to pin it on any one person. For a brief moment, they considered me, but I had nothing to offer them, shy of what remained of Thanatos in my pocket. Hey, Thanatos. I had tucked him into my hoodie pocket, just as he still has when I took him from the mountain. Why did you took Thanatos with you? Why? If you're watching right now, was it worth it? Was it worth killing every single one of my friends? Before us was Dad's grave. The rest of my friends without a marker to their name, all things considered. Services were held, at least for Haas and Dean, but nothing for Orlando and Sal. I had one for Tyson alone, with no one left to attend, and Roswell's. Roswell's was a strange one. Oh, I didn't expect to see you here. Yeah, it's again Florentia, okay. Oh, it's you, Florentia, dear. Right, Oswin's sister. Are you alright? I gave her a sideward glance. Something I felt off about her ever since she approached me at Roswell's memorial. No. Did you want something? I was just checking in. After all, I have my own people to visit here. But I suppose a graveyard is hardly the place to strike up a friendly conversation, is it? Florentia, I want to know something. Yes, dear. Why were you at Roswell's memorial? None of the others, despite everyone else dying on that mountain. Just Roswell's. Well, you know how Oswin was. I feel it's only appropriate to attend when he couldn't. I don't understand. Don't tell me that somehow Oswin and Roswell are related. Despite him clearly saying that he's not related to Roswell. Don't tell me that he was lying about that. Oh, I'm sure you've seen it. No doubt your little trip, you'd seen my brother pay Roswell some level of attention, no? No, Oswin, yes? I only got to meet Oswin once. Then he was... Oh. Yeah. It ruined Benson. And that along with Thanatos missing with him is probably why. Ah, I see. But what makes you say Oswin and would have given Roswell attention? It's no secret. My brother always wanted a son of his own. Oh. Having Roswell along for the trip was no doubt putting him at risk of being, well, I suppose surrogate son is about as apt as we're going to get. For the first week, you just hid away from us, though. Chances are he was just nervous. For? I don't mean to be grim, Dave, but everyone did end up dying. Perhaps he just caught wind of that long before anyone else did. If he didn't, then I'm sure Thanatos would have said something. Yeah, well... I pulled him from my pocket, still limp, and showed him to Florentia. He's dead too. Or whatever robots have as an equivalent. How did you... He took me out of the house just before the bombs went off. Didn't say anything about saving anyone else, or anything. How strange. Because? That he didn't bother trying to save anyone else. All I remember is he said something about an experiment and how I was the one needed to be saved to have it succeeded. That if I died, everyone else would end up dying. He always said the strangest things. I remember being there when he first woke up, in a frantic panic, trying to explain who he was and that we had to listen. You were there when it happened? Not in the room, but just the next one over. Kept talking about the fire, and that he's seen other iterations of the universe, and it was just so, so much to take in. You believe him then, from the moment he woke up? Well, your options are to write him off as crazy, or give him some credit. He was made to recall the histories of other cosmic cycles, so either someone had programmed in false records as a prank, or he was telling the truth. And you just let him? Let him what? Make decisions and, I don't know. Florentia stepped forward and placed a hand carefully on my shoulder, if only briefly. When someone says that those people you love are going to die, you listen, don't you? I'm assuming you must have at some point. I trembled, thinking back to what happened with Tyson. What happened to Orlando. If only I knew that I had to be worried about a werewolf, things would have been so much simpler. Still, that's just life, isn't it? And death too, I suppose. That doesn't make it easier. It helps me cope with the loss of the people I tried to save. Shy of my husband, I have no more family left now. She flashed her wedding ring whimsically, as if we hadn't been talking about death moments before. Here, I think you should take Thanatos. He belongs to you anyway. Are you sure? I can't say he belonged to me, really, but he may as well have. Just tell me, do you know who his master is? Or was, even? Now that's a tough question. Because you don't want to tell me? More because the answer isn't satisfying. Because the person that I believe to be his master hasn't existed for a long, long time, in a matter of speaking. She took Thanatos carefully from me and looked him over. This reminds me of a story. No thanks. Oh, live a little, Dave. We owe it to those gone to do just that. What's it about? It's an old fable called The Two Rats. Okay, what's the story? There were two rats, one old and one young. The older rat, upon finding a baited trap, goes to the younger rat and explains that there is a tasty morsel to have. But there's a trap. Obviously he wouldn't fall for that, right? Alas, with youth brings in experience. Youth brings mistakes. And in this case, the young rat dies to the trap, baited by the older rat who knew better just for his own gain, as now the piece of cheese was free to take with no danger. So what, don't listen to old people? You could say that, but it's different. Don't follow advice blindly, Dave. Much like when Thanatos woke up, I listened to him, but didn't blindly listen to him like someone else might have. But you knew what he was planning. I had some inkling, but unlike you, I was not on that mountain. Any chance I had to alter things left the moment I departed, long before any of you arrived. Oh. But imagine if you'd shown up a bit sooner, She handed Thanatos back to me, flashing a smile. Maybe I would have been in the mountain. Maybe everything that happened would have been very different. I shook my head with a sigh, stuffing Thanatos back into my pocket. I guess it doesn't matter now. But what was the password to open the vault anyway? You have to know it, right? Why did you want to know? Planning on trying to remember it for the next go-around? It's not like it's useful to anyone anymore. Not useful to anyone currently. Still, I do know the password. Though telling you isn't going to be any good even if you did remember. Because? Because when I hid those medals and entrusted the rest to Benson to hide, I also told Thanatos to keep watch and remember when each of them were found. Additionally, to not open unless the password is given and every last medal has been uncovered. Interesting. Thus far, from all my playthroughs or like everything, I've only seen 4. That's what I'm seeing from my notes. I've only encountered 4 medals. So that's interesting. So we were never going to win that game, were we? That scavenger hunt was just a distraction? Unfair? I can say for a fact that why I did what I did was completely unrelated to you or any of your friends. But it has its uses. Such as? Well, I have my own experiment to run. Perhaps with a Dave in another iteration of the universe we've yet to get to. Perhaps with someone else. But it's not for us to know. So what happens now? You're expecting something to happen? There has to be something, right? This can't just... I shook my head, looking down at my dad's grave again. No, I guess there's nothing left, is there? If it makes you feel better, I could tell you the password to open the vault. Though, as I said, even with the password, Thanatos wouldn't have opened it unless he's seen you collect all the medals across his lifetime. Don't worry about it. I turned away from her then, decided not to look back. There wasn't anything left for me on that mountain, or from that family. I had my life, but ultimately I questioned what good it was even when everyone else in my life had died shy of my own mother. As time went on, I found it hard to keep any meaningful relationships. Every interactions I had come with the feeling that if they lingered near me, they'd end up dead. Maybe it was Thanatos influencing things even after he was long gone. His last few words to me still lingering in the back of my mind. If I died, all my friends would have anyway. The less friends I have, the less people at risk. So I grew to think. My life stagnated from there on out. I wondered if in the end it would have been no different to me dying on the mountain after all. Jeez! Wait, resonate. Okay, where it's gonna resonate? Back to... Oh, it's going to be back to the werewolf password. Interesting. Wait, what page is that? Eh? Oh, I put it in the middle. My bad. Okay, interesting. I will go back to check what's different with this part. Anyways, I'm gonna stop it here for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time. Take care.